Mr. Spencer, this is your code of practice. It should be called a code of malpractice, shouldn't it?
No, that's a document the industry is very proud of, and that's a document that represents the industry taking the initiative to modernise itself, to move into the 21st century, and to make sure that the practices that we are engaging in are the best possible practices for the pigs that we look after.
For the pigs?
For the pigs.
But all I see in this code is protection for pig farmers. This code does nothing to protect
No, that code is only about protecting pigs. It has competency standards that apply to no other animal species. It's the first code to be legislated in every state.
In fact, this code, your booklet, your Bible, legitimises cruelty to
Absolutely not.
the animals in your industry, doesn't it?
Absolutely not. Not in no way.
How can you say that with a straight face?
Because it's the truth. That code is something our industry is very proud of. We have initiated a process to make sure our pigs are well cared for, and that there are certain practices that are expected of people in charge of pigs. There is no one on this earth with a greater incentive to care for pigs than a pig farmer.
So a law that allows a 300-kilo animal to be caged so long as its snout or its hindquarters don't touch the ends of the bars simultaneously for weeks on end is a good one, is it?
That is a very good one, because that is a sow stall, and that is for the protection of a sow at a very vulnerable stage. And you remember the analogy I said about 20 kilometres an hour into your ribs? That's the alternative.
To confine an animal so that it has literally a centimetre on either
Liam,
end.
you make the decision. You can have an animal with a broken leg, broken pelvis, that's been the subject of severe aggression, or you can put it in a protected area. It doesn't require a lot of movement. It's a big, pregnant animal that's not looking to frolic around. It wants to eat and sleep. That's pig heaven. Sow stalls are good for sows. The research shows it. There are multiple scientific papers that actually back up exactly what's in that code about the period of time that is allowable in the stall and the transition into group housing.
Never mind the scientific paper.
Mind the scientific paper.
Let's stay with your laws. Let's stick with your laws, because they're the ones that govern what your farmers are doing.
That's a code of practice, it's not laws,
Well,
just to get the terminology right.
Well, this is your law, because the code of practice provides the exemption to animal cruelty
There's
laws.
no exemptions in that booklet. The prevention of cruelty to animals legislation applies to our industry too.
This is the law book for your farmers.
No.
Pure and simple.
No, there's legislation in each state that comes from that booklet, and hopefully those standards are consistent out of that book. They reflect what's in that book. We also, as an industry, have to adhere to the prevention of cruelty to animals legislation like any other person does. There is no exemption whatsoever in that book. All it says is, for you to be deemed to be treating your pigs appropriately, you need to follow these standards.
Yes, and you know very well, let's not beat around the bush with semantics, you know very well that legislation about animal cruelty in all different states uses your code of practice as an exemption.
Not at all. No, there is nothing about the pig industry being exempted from prevention of cruelty to animals laws. Nothing.
It is in the case of the sow stalls in terms of confinement.
No, all it says is appropriate treatment of sows means they've got to be protected. You are allowed within the code to use sow stalls in that early period of pregnancy. Thank God for that, for the sows.
But that doesn't work, does it?
Because that's the way to protect them.
But that doesn't work, because this code allows a pig to go from a sow stall into a farrowing crate and back again to a sow stall.
That code is written for the future where that will not happen.
When?
2017 is the maximum time. Our aim as an industry is to get that to happen as soon as possible.
Oh, Mr. Spencer, that's just a big fib.
Why is that? How can you accuse me of that?
You know very well. In 2017, you can still use sow stalls for 6 weeks of pregnancy.
And that's a good thing for
and
the
then
sows.
You can use them even longer if a vet says it's okay.
And why wouldn't you want to isolate a sick animal from being bullied by a group of sows?
So you have no intention of
The reason we
getting
do these things is not because, you know, we want to be cruel to animals. What possible justification could a pig farmer have to be cruel to an animal? Their whole livelihood depends on that animal being well looked after.
Why did you tell
Sow
me?
stalls
Why did you tell me a fib?
are one of the most important ways of looking after a sow.
Why did you just pretend that they're finishing in 2017?
They are. The complete gestation period for stalls, which is not a position the industry advocates, will be no longer allowed after 2017.
Why is it taking you that long?
Because it takes time to transition. If you bought a new car, Liam, and the next day they changed the law, have made your car illegal, you're going to expect the government to give you a bit of time to get something back on your investment.
Well, my car doesn't eat and breathe and sleep and feel pain, but that aside,
Well, neither do our pigs.
it's taken you a very long time, hasn't it?
We hope to do that as soon as possible.
Another 8 years.
To rush that transition would not be a good thing for the pigs. It is.
To rush it.
Yes.
You're joking, aren't
And our industry is the one that's got to pick up the cost of that. Do you know how many millions of dollars it's going to cost to rip the guts out of sheds, put up new sheds, set up whole farming systems that are around a totally new code of practice, albeit a good one?
So it is about money.
Money is important.
Not about the animal, it's about money.
No, it's about the animal too, because that animal has to be well looked after for the money to flow. You look after the pigs, they'll look after you.
Mr. Spencer,
If
let's be honest. A Senate Select Committee told your industry in 1990 to move away from sow stalls. That was 19 years ago.
Why isn't it in the document?
You're telling me it's going to take you another 8 years.
It's a maximum period of time to allow for that transition to happen.
And then you're still
We
going
as
to
an
let your
industry-
farmers use them.
We as an industry are wanting that to happen as soon as possible. We are promoting and advocating that to happen as soon as possible. We are trying to get farmers to change as soon as possible. And to their credit, they are.
You could make that happen tomorrow if you wanted to.
How would we do that?
You could
All
just
that you would do,
change your little code.
I'll tell you what would happen, Liam. All you would do, you'd put pig farmers out of business because they cannot afford to spend millions of dollars now to change that over. And what would happen? All of the pork we have in Australia would be imported. Where would it come from? It would come from countries that use sow stalls.